We're out here in the Prairie at the Museum of Danish America, and just want to talk about some things that are blooming, things that are close to blooming, and maybe a little bit about some of the management practices we use. So right here we have Monarda bee balm. That's the common name. It's part of the mint family, and it has like this nice square stem, and this is all about done blooming. It has these really nice purple flowers, but there's just kind of a few stragglers left behind, otherwise they're all about done and ready to set seed. And then we also have white prairie sage, and this one's really interesting because the thing that gives it its white color is actually tiny little hairs. So if you scrape it off, the leaf underneath is actually green. And this stuff actually does smell pretty good. I'm not sure if it's edible, but it smells super good. Let's see what else.
Let's not test it out.
Yeah, that's maybe not. Don't just try it. Look it up. We also have this yellow coneflower, which is really pretty. We have a ton of it right now. And right now is a really good time to see yellow flowers in bloom too. Usually when it gets a little bit closer to fall, we start seeing more yellow. So it's going to be the yellow coneflowers, partridge peas, which are really short and low to the ground. And then we also have lots of goldenrod that'll be blooming here in the next month or so. So, yeah. Okay, so over here behind me, you can see there's an area that we mowed. We actually had someone that we work with that comes out and helps take care of thistle and stuff. He brought a mower that could do this kind of thing. And so this area had previously been really full of thistle. And then once that got sprayed and taken care of and killed off, a lot of annual weeds start setting in, like ragweed and I think this is lamb's ear and wild lettuce. And so we just had him come in here and mow as much of it as he could and be selective about where he was as much as he could as well. So you can see some of these like taller stands of grass are here. Like we have big blue stem right there, and we have a little bit of goldenrod here as well. And he was able to kind of move around and get the majority of it. And since we want to be a little bit selective, we still have to kind of go through and maybe clean it up a little bit. But this really helps because then the space is cleared and some of the grasses that are hidden underneath can start popping back up. And then later in the fall when we do seed collection, we can broadcast seed this, and then hopefully next year it'll be a lot less weedy and we'll be able to have more of the desirable plants that we want.
We explain broadcast seeding?
Yeah, I mean, broadcast seeding is, pretty much what it sounds like. Usually when we do it, we have like you just take a handful of seed and just kind of throw it out. And it just kind of, in this kind of setting, kind of makes the most sense just because we could like meticulously set the seed down and stuff, but just because there's so much area that we have to cover, that's definitely our best option. And also just because it is like, it'll work because, you know, plants naturally, they're not able to set their seeds down in the ground. They just have to kind of hope that they get to the ground to get some soil contact. So that should work, and it'll be a lot more time efficient for us as well. There we go. This guy's nice and big. This is cut plant, and it's called that because the leaves kind of cling around the stem and it holds water in it. And that way different like insects and stuff can kind of get to it a little easier. These are really cool, and I believe they're part of the genus Silphium. And there's two other of the same genus that we have on site, and that'll be the compass plant and prairie dock. Compass plant we have a few kind of scattered in the prairie, and then prairie dock we have up in our parking lot berms. But they are all really cool because they have really deep tap roots, and if you touch the leaves, you can feel they're a little bit cooler, especially along like the main vein. And pretty sure it is because they're able to kind of reach a little bit further into the ground to get water, and that stuff's just a little bit cooler. But yeah, they're really neat, and all of the flowers are pretty much look the same on the other two plants as well. So they're some of my favorites. I just think they're really cool. This is another one I have identified before, and I can never remember what it's called. But it's really pretty because it's just super, super bright. Yeah, I'm not sure what this one is. I'm still learning too.
Yeah, that's okay. So you said we can look forward to goldenrod. What else can we look forward to?
Yeah, so there's going to be tons and tons of goldenrod. Let me think. The other things that we're still kind of waiting for to bloom a little bit more are some grasses as well. Grasses right now is a good time for them to start coming out. So we'll have like big blue stem, small blue stem. Those are the two that I'm most familiar with and are pretty easy to find because the big blue stem, I think you can also call it like turkey's foot, is super, super tall. And you can mostly find that in the section of prairie furthest away from the museum, just because it's different, was kind of different seed mixes when they got planted. So the grasses that are here are mostly this Canada rye. And this is a really good grass. People use it kind of to help hold back annual weeds when they first are building back up a prairie area, just because it can spread pretty far and it's really tall, so it just kind of makes like a nice kind of ground cover. I'm not sure how aggressive it is as far as like letting it mix with other like flowers and such, but over in this section there's a ton of wildflowers, so it seems to be working out all right for us. But yeah, and then you can also look for partridge pea, and that's a shorter plant, so you'll mostly find it kind of maybe along the sides of the path or along the edge of the prairie is where you'll notice it most, just because it won't be stunted by all this like taller stuff. And that one's really cool. And then
is that one yellow, Kiara?
Yeah, that one's yellow.
I know what you're talking about, I think.
Yeah,
it
really
has
cool
little pods too.
Yeah, so when it forms the seed, it'll be little pods. But yeah, otherwise the other things we're still kind of waiting for to bloom. Our prairie dock is blooming, and then I think compass plant still has some to go. And those are also yellow, so it's just a lot of yellow flowers.